I'm now in the city of Bauru. I arrived here yesterday, coming back to the state of São Paulo for the first time since February. And when you think of São Paulo, you automatically think of a big city. That's a little bit dangerous. But the state of São Paulo is massive. In fact, it's about the size of the United Kingdom. So I'm going to have a little wander around and see what Bauru is like. Now, it is famous within Brazil because of its sandwich. It's got a famous sandwich named after it. And I am on a hunt to find it. Seemingly, from what I read online, there is only certain shops that can sell it, that can make the official Bauru sandwich, and it has to have a certificate to say it is official. So, if you watched my last video, you'll know that I got to the hostel, which was empty, no reception, no nothing, and I was a little bit nervous about ghosts coming out in the middle of the night. But fortunately, by night time, it was a little bit busy. Lots of people. So, back to hostel life, and I had a really good evening. One of the things I always ask myself when I get to a new place is, why does this city or town exist? Why is it here? Why not like 30 miles up that way? And for Bauru, railway. Railway is the reason this place exists. 100 years ago, trains started arriving here from different directions, and this became one of the most important railway hubs in Brazil. And from railway, the city grew. So it's a bit like when you think about UK, that when you have coal mines, steelworks, and they have railway, and they grow from that sort of thing. And I'm sure this is the way to the old railway station. I looked on the map this morning and it looks like it's still functioning. Am I going the right way? Oh, it made me jump, that dog. I think that is the old railway station there. You've got old trains. I've seen better days. Yeah, I don't think this is functional anymore. And if you look on the platform, there's cars parked on there. Right, I'm going to have a wander down, see if I can get in. The city is not touristy. In fact, one of the guys in the hostel last night was asking me why I was here. He was a bit confused. But when I explained that I like to go to places that most tourists don't go to, he went, okay then, that makes sense. Oh, there's a museum. Oh, that looks better. Is it open? There's some chain on the gate there. Nope, it's not open. But this looks like the original train station itself. Looks like it's well looked after, but we can't get in. It's a shame. So the museum's actually closed. They're waiting for fire health and safety work. But I just spoke to the guy and just went, can I have a look around please, and have a film? And this is like the original train station. So officially I should be here. But Lucas bless him, he's just said, yeah, have a look around. So they're just waiting for authorization for it to be open. Now this is the second train station I've been to in the last couple of weeks. Londrina being the last one. That too was closed. But I'm not allowed to go inside the building themselves. I'm happy with this. Wow. And that's Lucas. Right, let's have a look at these trains.
It represents the not always peaceful coexistence between the indigenous people and the railroad.
Oh.
A partir da construção da Noroeste do Brasil, que é uma ferrovia, A construção da ferrovia a partir de Bauru em direção ao interior resultou no conflito entre indígenas e o povo branco.
The construction of the railroad from Bauru towards the interior resulted in conflict between indigenous people and the white population.
Wow. I am...
Meio vagão.
Meio vagão.
Meio vagão.
Alright. Just sit there, Bauru. Can I have a walk down? I'm gonna get my very own personal tour. Cars.
Fresh paint.
Oh! I can't believe I've just stood in paint. I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. Whoops. Can I go on? Thank you. Even, do you want me to take my shoes off? Oh wow. That's crazy.
The date it's built is here.
1932. Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful. Does this still work?
This first passenger car was used only by the railway administration. The locomotive is functional, but needs a complete overhaul. However, we have all the necessary parts for this.
Okay. Money.
Very expensive.
London.
Okay,
London. England. Now at the moment Lucas is just trying to find the key to let me go back out. But he's just given me the full tour of the train station, the museum. Obviously, as I said, there's a lot of places I can't go to. I still feel guilty about standing on that track. I think he only let me in because of the fact I said I was from England, and railway is massive in the UK. Oh, thank you very much. Bye bye. See you next time. Wow. Oh bless him, he just called me back to just say that I am welcome in Bauru anytime, and then recommended me a place to go to, which is just up here, about a 10-minute walk. Let's see what he's recommended. And before the railway arrived here, this place was just a normal frontier town, as Brazil tried to get moving further into the west, into Paraná. But Lucas is very enthusiastic about the railway. He wants to preserve the railway history because, obviously, as I said, this is what made the city so big. So I've passed a few cafes, restaurants. None of them seem to be selling these famous Bauru sandwiches so far. So I'm now in Barbosa Square, right in front of the Cathedral. and I've just heard some bells going off. Well, not exactly bells, they're coming from the loudspeaker up there and someone speaking. So this is the historical centre of the city. And as you look around, you don't think really it's not that looked after. As I said, this is not a touristy city at all. In fact, I'm just going to wait for that loudspeaker to finish. So that went on a bit longer than what I thought it would go for. No idea what I was saying, but people were interested. So this square itself is named after this guy here. So Rui Barbosa, a famous Brazilian statesman, and seemingly there's a lot of squares in Brazil named after him. So you've got some sort of archway leading into the square. You've got a bandstand, and then you've got the cathedral itself. It's just everyday normal life, and I think I could be the only tourist here in the whole city at the moment. So the Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, and it is quite tall. It's very Art Deco, if I know my art, which is not much. You can't really get in, the gates are all locked up. It was built in the 1950s. The bandstand was built in the 1930s, and the oldest part is the square, which is about the 1890s. And I'm still looking for a sandwich. Could be lucky here. No burgers and hot dogs. No Bauru sandwiches yet. Still on the hunt. So I've just asked a local through Google Translate where I can buy a traditional Bauru sandwich, and they've given me instructions to come down here. They weren't too sure, to be honest, so I'm hoping I'm going to be lucky. It's proven very hard to find a traditional Bauru sandwich in Bauru. So I've just been in the restaurant I was told to go into. They had to Google it because they even didn't know. From what I can gather, it's only sold on a night time. It's sold, this is the text, the Google Translate that he gave me. So sold at two places on a night time in front of Bauru Shopping. So I guess I've just got to wait until tonight to get one. But this is the pedestrian area. I am so hungry that I'm just determined to have anything. What a shame. Just got to wait until tonight. Right, instead of asking people, I just thought I'd go to random restaurants and see if there was anything I could find. So, hello?
Coke de 300. Coke.
Right, there was a little bit of confusion there because I asked for a cappuccino and she came out saying, but it comes free with a Coke. So right at the bottom of the menu, you've got Bauru Legítimo, which is, and I've just asked them, is that the original sandwich? Yes, it is. So I'm getting that. So I'm getting the sandwich with a Coke and the cappuccino. Now, the sandwich wasn't actually invented here. And this is a quite nice high street. Bit of shade in the sun. It was actually invented in São Paulo city. So back in the 1930s, there was a law student called Casimiro Pinta Neto, and his nickname was Bauru because he actually came from here. So basically he went to a bar called Ponto Chic. He ordered a custom sandwich, which was, and this is what it's made of, French bread, roast beef, melted cheese, tomato and pickled cucumber. And people saw him eating it and said, "What's that?" Had a taste of it, went, "That's very nice." and then said to the waitress, I'll have one of them. And because they called it after his nickname of Bauru, the sandwich would say, I'll have a Bauru. And it's just spread. So it's not actually from here. But I don't care. I'm just having a Bauru sandwich in Bauru. And this is it. I mean, that is melted cheese. So because the sandwich became so famous in that sandwich shop, it started spreading throughout Brazil, totally nationwide. Lots of places start making their own version, but this is the proper one. And obviously Bauru wanted to protect the original recipe because it's named after it. Right, let's taste it. Now obviously I've just had my dental treatment, so I can only eat on one side at the moment. Oh, that's good. The roast beef is very chewable. Oh, that's lovely. Recommended. Very nice. So I've had half of it already, and it is really nice. I just thought I'd open it up and show you what's inside. I mean, that's most vegetables I've had in like 2 days. That was gorgeous. And it was $49.80, the sandwich, cappuccino, and the Coke that I didn't want. Oh, I've succeeded in my aim. So what I'm going to do is going to head back to the square and just find out what else there is around here. It's an interesting place, but I'm not too sure if there's anything else to see. So I typed into Google Maps things to see, and it recommended this place, and this is Parque Vitória, Régia, and it is one of the biggest parks in Bauru. There is the typical Instagram I love Bauru sign, and it is a 20-minute walk, but I couldn't be bothered, so I got an Uber instead. I'm meant to be resting, but it doesn't look like a park. What's that? Oh, that's quite funky. I have no idea what it is. I'm assuming that is a stage in the middle of the lake. I think this is modern side of the city. You've got all the skyscrapers or the apartment blocks there. Let's have a little wander down. So I've come down the bottom. That's all fenced off down there. And I think that's the edge of the park. And I'm on this bridge. There is fish in the water. And you can just see the edge of the park over there. So it's not really that big. And I've come down to the staging area. And it is quite interesting with the sculptural background. It looks a bit bigger down here than it does up there. So it's a decent sized amphitheatre. I am curious to know if it's actually used. Right, I've come to the edge of the park, which is not that big. And there is a bit of public art, and it's called Concrete and Iron. And to me, it just looks like dolphin fins sticking up from the water. Is it meant to be modern art? Yeah. Done by Rafael Antonio Barcellete, 2016. Right, there are other things to see in Bauru. There's the Botanical Gardens, which is about 6 kilometers away. It's a bit too far for me, but I've seen enough. I need to go back. The main reason is I need to get my antibiotics taken for the tooth, so it's time to go back to the hostel. But if you've enjoyed this little walk around Bauru, enjoy my sandwich, well, looking at it, then all you got to do is press that like button. If you want to see what I'm up to tomorrow, because I'm going to another city, because although Bauru is nice, I think it's worth 2 nights stay, no more. But until the next time, bye bye for now.